But nope, he just teleported somewhere else and had to walk back, I guess.
Yeah.
A burgeoning Nightcrawler.
Yeah, and there, there's Josh Cho back in action, doing what he does best, attacking for 3 with Insectile Aberration. Simply a second island for Josh. Either doesn't have a white mana source or doesn't want to give away that information yet.
Upkeep. Vapor Snag.
I like the upkeep play here. You don't want to do it on your turn because of the open mana. If Josh did not have open mana, then you could go ahead and play Vapor Snag on your turn. But if you're going to Vapor Snag into open mana, you want to do it on their turn so they can't use that mana for spells on their turn.
Dungeon Geist from not Dungeon Geist, pardon me, Geist of St. Traft from Josh, and then we see a reveal, and Delver flips for Brian Eason.
And Josh Shaw taking a page from Jared T and already putting his Geist of St. Traft in the graveyard.
Show me your hand. Metamorph, Vapor Snag, Moorland Haunt, Delver.
Pretty strong hand from Josh, and also the impetus is on Brian to match that Geist of St. Traft immediately. So that's phase 1 of the Delver Mirror, and probably the biggest weakness I have in my current build of the Delver deck. I kind of underestimated the importance of Geist of St. Traft actually playing Blade Splicer. And I think that's absolutely incorrect. Even without like a ton of action surrounding it, Geist of St. Traft just represents so much damage for so little mana. Like if you're just talking about pure mana to damage, it's Delver Secrets is 3 power for 1 mana, and Geist of St. Traft is 6 power for 3 mana.
Part of the reason that I think that Delver has had such a powerful impact, and it looks like we have a Vapor Snag for that Delver, as an archetype, is that as Wizards of the Coast has pushed the power of creatures, the nature of these creatures, because they can fit directly into an aggro control deck, means that the clock you're on is so fast.
Yeah.
It's just so fast. I mean, we never really even saw things like this where they were so fast and resilient. I mean, way back when slivers existed, they were fast, but they were little pieces that if you tore them up, they didn't have, protection from everything unless you had the crystalline sliver. One guy did it, and then a Wrath of God could come through beaten by Force of Will, so then they'd have to start all over. This, a Geist brings its own party. A Geist is 6 power.
By itself. Those of you that haven't been around the game for 8 billion years, Counter Sliver is the first aggro control deck.
The first one that was like honed. We did have Merfolk way before that, but it wasn't aggressive like that. It was a slower aggro control build.
Yeah, I would basically the timely reinforcements from Brian, trades with most of a Geist.
It still puts in
all
4
of Geist,
damage, and I think we have. There's the replacement.
Yeah. So Brian gains 6, goes to 14, but falls to 10 from the Angel attack. Yeah, I mean these modern Delver decks put like just a super undercosted threat into play, and only has to protect it for 3 or 4 turns.
Yeah. And sometimes not even that long. Like sometimes it can just not protect it and then protect something for 2 turns.
Yeah. I mean, one of the ways you protect a threat is by letting the first one die and playing another one.
Yeah. I mean, if Geist comes down, attacks, kills your creature, and then for the sake of just the funness of it, throws a 4-point damage burn spell, javelins you.
Yeah.
I mean, Imagine if Red had a card like Geist of St. Traft.
Jeez.
That just would be absurd.
Mm-hmm. I mean, how much mana would you pay for that? I'd easily pay 4 in
Oh,
red.
yeah. I might pay 5.
Yeah.
Easily 4, though.
But if you think about it, another card we've been talking about that is very red and functions very similar to Geist of St. Traft is Zealous Conscripts.
Yeah.
It has haste instead of hexproof, and it costs 2 mana, but you're getting two threats in the red zone right away. That's basically what Geist is.
Is that a Faith Shield?
I believe so.
Faith Shield is a de facto counterspell sometimes, and then a de facto falter at other times.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Faith Shield. Josh needs to be very careful to not get Brian to 5 life when Brian has lethal in play. This is one of those very strange games where Josh clearly has the Geist advantage, but Brian just has is just beating it with a bunch of spells. He's playing far more spells than Josh, where Josh just has the Geist going on.
Both players have a Moorland Haunt out.
Mm-hmm. And Josh is the first to use his.
Doesn't block, just takes it.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, Brian almost assuredly has something going on.
Thought Scour. Gets 2 creatures.
2 creatures, Delver and a Restoration Angel. That'll be 3 creatures. So he'll have Moorland Haunt food for pretty much the whole game. However, that's pretty much all he's got.
In for 1.
Yeah, I mean, Josh is sniffing out like a spell of some variety. I would imagine that it's Snapcaster Mage, so he's not attacking with his Geist of St. Traft. He also has a Phyrexian Metamorph in his hand that we know of. So that can... I'm thinking if Josh wanted to cast his Metamorph there to copy a Snapcaster Mage, to get his Thought Scout to get him another card deeper.
I think his plan seems to be just sitting on the Moorland Haunt. That option was open to him, certainly, but I think he's just planning on the Haunt just riding
I mean, this is like what makes, this is probably what makes, Josh a great player. And there's a bunch of different plans. And you basically just have to choose choose a path on how you want the game to take. You can choose a completely different path, and not have it be right or wrong or whatever, and not make mistakes on your path. You might just choose the wrong path. For example, it's very difficult to say casting Phyrexian Metamorph was a mistake there. It might just be a poor roll choice. It might have been a solid play, but Josh Cho is going to try and make it so that Brian Eason does not get a creature in his graveyard to feel the Moorland Haunt. And then he's going to use his Geist of St. Traft as basically a Flame Javelin, 4 damage to the face. So as the board currently exists,
there's that Snapcaster you were talking about.
Brian Eason cannot attack with his... Okay. That changes the math, but as it exists, Brian Eason could not have attacked with his Insectile Aberration because he needed to block one of the spirits. and a Sword of War and Peace. So that's the biggest of games. So he's just threatening. Very lethal if Josh does not have a Divine Offering or a Vapor Snag. So Snapcaster Mage gets back Vapor Snag, and so that might give Josh Cho the game here. Never mind. Brian Eason has the Faith Shield in hand, so that is probably not enough. Alright, so take a look at it. He's gonna force the use of the Face Shield. And Josh Cho is going to respond with a Dismember.
Nice.
So that saves him a lot. He still has to block. Oh, okay, wow. Josh Cho just got it right on the numbers. Wow, that was fantastic. So Josh Cho falls to 4, but he's facing 5 power still. He can block with his Snapcaster Mage, leaving him a Geist of Saint Trapped and 1 Spirit. And conveniently enough, Brian Eason has 7 life.
The Dismember there was just so timely.
Yeah, having a second like fantastic second spell basically.
Yes. And I think that Brian had to go for it. I don't think if he waited around, things were going to get better for him. I think that was his move. Make the play for it, and if Cho has the right card to stop it...
He needed 2 cards.
Yeah, right, 2 cards to stop it, then so be it. But in the meantime, it's the kill.
Right.
Show me that you can stop it times 2, or you're dead.
One thing I might have done differently is Brian Eason had a soldier token. From Timely Reinforcements, he could have held that one back, and that would have prevented him from dying on the swing. That would have still represented lethal.
Yeah.
But however, not sure if Brian knew about the Phyrexian Metamorph in Josh's hand. The Phyrexian Metamorph could have copied the Sword of War and Peace to pro white through the soldier. So it might have been an all or nothing attack regardless. So we're going to an exciting Game 3 of our second semifinal match. Here, we've had a significant run of second matches. All the first match we get in almost every round has been
slam done.
Yeah, been lightning quick. And it's not everything in a standard format. We've been the second matches we've been getting a lot of times have been these like nice long interactive games.
This is one of the reasons I actually think mirrors like this are interesting. There are a few mirrors I think are brain-screechingly terrible. For me, that would be, for example, the counterbalance mirror in Legacy.
I love it.
Yeah, you love that one? For reals?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one I can't handle. Also, I think partly because the kind of person that usually is drawn to a counterbalance deck is often more ponderous. And so you have a player with the Sensei's Divining Top who they are prone to taking their time with thoughts.
Oh, yeah, I don't like that. It's not one for the watching, but like, yeah, if you definitely know, when I played Counterbalance, for about the first year and a half of the Star City Open Circuit, that's what got me into Legacy, this SCG Open Circuit. Oh, wow, okay. So in the last game, there was a games rule violation. Sword of War and Peace gives protection from white.
Okay.
Face Shield is white.
He couldn't have targeted it.
Correct. That is very, very fortunate for the game that Brian did not win that game because of that play. If that had happened, that would have been a very disappointing way to
Yeah.
end that match. But fortunately for us, we well, we, it would have been nice to catch it in time first, and then after that, it would have been, you know, good and didn't cost anybody a match. Unless we're going into game 3, I didn't notice it. Not a play that comes up too often. I'm sure the Twitterverse is up in arms. Yeah. All right. So sideboarding for game 3. I think it's pretty much the standard. Win the Geist battle, win the Sword battle, win the Moorland battle.
And Eason did go for a slightly more controlling tack by putting timely reinforcements in. You know, put more permanence into play and recoup that life loss should things go the wrong way.
It's also another way. Timely reinforcements has been tabbed as like a bad Geist of Saint Traft, whereas if neither of you, if you play the first 2 turns at parity, and your opponent on the play plays a Geist of Saint Traft, you can respond with a timely reinforcements, generally for at least creatures, sometimes for life, and you'll have 3 creatures to block the Geist of Saint Traft. You'll need 2 of them, but one removal spell, 1 Vapor Snag, etc. doesn't get the Geist of Saint Traft through. So good in that regard.
And if you manage to get 2 precious removal spells out of their hands so that the Geist survives, it's almost a coup for the person that cast the timely anyway. You know, getting rid of all of those cards.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, like, if you have, say you have 2 Vapor Snags, or like a Vapor Snag and a Gut Shot or Snapcasters and stuff, you should play it. Oh, Gitaxian Pro from Brian Eason.
Looks like we have a Restoration Angel, Snapcaster Mage,
Phantasmal Image. Is that a Divine Offering?
Oh, that's a Divine Offering. That's a Legends Divine Offering. Actual factual Legends.
Told you Josh Cho is a classy guy.
Right. Actual Legends is actually a nice one.
Yeah, Chronicles is gross.
Chronicles is gross. I still prefer my Mirage ones, but...
no, that's a good choice, too.
Yeah.
I believe I have Mirage ones on Magic Online.
Yeah, one of the few pictures in Magic where you see a non-white character doing something where it's not Champions of Kamigawa block.
Yeah.
And also the art is just really cool. Like, there's this modeled, slightly unclearness of the breaking of like some sort of staff or spear.
Yeah, and that's what it is on the Legends one. It's a different it's a different object.
And we have a Ponder.
So, I believe double Ponder this turn from Brian Eason. This is turn 2, and this is the second Ponder of the turn. Looks like we're keeping this one, maybe not. Alright, we're keeping this one. I'd be interested to see, do you know where Brian Eason is from?
I'm not sure, actually.
Yeah. So Josh Cho flashes back his Ponder, or not Ponder, but Gitaxian Probe on thing, and Josh Cho is being really mean and putting Brian's hand over our commentator names. There we go. Geist of Saint Traft, Restoration Angel, Snapcaster Mage, Phantasmal Image, and Glacial Fortress. So pretty good hand from Brian. Given that he's likely to flip this Delver due to keeping Ponder, I would say Brian is in a very good position this game. Okay. So wow. So instead of playing Geist of St. Draft.
Looks like Brian Eason might be a Southern player, maybe from Atlanta.
Okay. I'm surprised. I know I know a lot of the Atlanta folk.
Looking at different events, they all appear to be Georgia area events.
Okay.
He's played in Honolulu.
And Brian made an interesting play. I mean, I think it's a pretty solid play as well.
Second place in Georgia State, 2011.
Nice. Brian basically kept a ponder without a spell to flip Delver. So instead of playing out his Geist of St. Draft, because he doesn't have a way to force it through the Snapcaster Mage, he decided to Phantasmal Image the Snapcaster Mage, flush him back a ponder, try and flip this Delver.
Nice.
Yeah. Pretty solid play, and not like a standard, and not the most obvious play in the world. The obvious play is to just play a Geist of St. Draft there. Yeah. Brian Eason is from the Atlanta area. We have Twitter.
Thank you, Twitter.
Twitter is noticed that. It seems like he's got a pretty solid game.
Yeah, I mean,
and if he came up with this his deck independent of the all of his opponents in this top 8.
Yeah, I mean,
that's pretty impressive.
I'm a big fan of the idea of parallel development being evidence that something is even more right than you might realize.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're doing something and somebody else is doing the exact same thing independent of you, you've probably got something good going on.
Yeah. Geist of St. Traff from Josh Cho. It's actually it's a method of deck building that me and Brian Coal and one of the people we collaborate with a lot, Ben Dempsey, have used a lot in the past. And then a Geist kills Geist is at a certain point us just being like, okay, well, let's all make this deck without looking at each other's builds and see where we come to in a week. And the way we have things in common is just like a little bit of evidence, if you can afford to take the time to do it, a little bit of evidence that the idea is perhaps more sound.
Yeah, and that works with almost anything.
You have to trust the other people that you're working with in order to trust their opinions, but yeah.
Well, that goes with any sort of collaborative effort.
I mean,
I'm surprised Brian Eason did not flip his Delver. Did he shuffle the flashback ponder?
I did not notice. And we have another Delver from Josh, along with a Ratchet Bomb.
If I were Josh, I might have not played the Delver there. If his intent with the Ratchet Bomb is to get Brian's Delver off the table.
Right.
Alternatively, Josh could be masterful and put his Ratchet Bomb on 1 and flip his own Delver so he can just get Brian's.
Here comes Delver.
And then Josh has a fair, somewhat difficult decision. It only costs him 1 point to not block, but he has the opportunity to trade here.
Yeah, this is like one of those classic things in Limited, the decision of when to use a trade as a pseudo removal spell.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the real thing in Constructed as well, though. I think one of the big training grounds for that choice is Limited.
Absolutely, that's where it comes up. You have usually in Constructed when creatures trade, they're copies of the same card. In Limited, it could be all sorts of creatures of different sizes. My 2/3 for your 3/2. And even you see it some in Constructed, like making positive trades. Although that was a neutral trade, it was same card and pretty similar situation.
Yeah, like when you trade a fairly weak card for a currently underpowered Tarmogoyf. That's a coup. You're like, there we go.
And like and we'll see that in Legacy today, one of the correct lines of play almost always is to make sure your Tarmogoyf gets out of bolt range.
Yep.
Because trading a bolt for a Tarmogoyf
feels terrible.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think there are times
unless
when,
you're the bolt.
Yeah. I think that there are times when you'll like lay the Tarmogoyf into the bolt on purpose, but it usually is a sign of either desperation or you've got something even better that you're going to be following up with. Tarmogoyf is a little bit less seen these days in Legacy.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about that. That Tarmogoyf has the potential to get outclassed.
Magic.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll talk plenty about Scavengers.
The ooze. I still need to get mine.
And so, looks like Brian has quite a few lands. Josh plays out a Snapcaster Mage to block. I'm not sure what's in his graveyard. Restoration Angel comes out and saves the.
Oh boy, that is.
How many ponders does Brian cast this game?
That's the third one, I think. No, fourth one.
We're going.
Is it
it's fifth
wow.
ponder. Might even be the sixth.
And is Josh actually getting a card? I don't think he is.
Yeah, that seems weird because I believe there's a Gitaxian Probe in Josh's graveyard.
That makes that Restoration Angel represent a lot of that interaction of that moment. A lot of cards for Brian.
Yeah. However, Brian has shuffled the majority of his ponders.
Yep. And we see the Ratchet Bomb ratchet up.
And his... Yeah. Not sure why Josh was so eager to trade Snapcaster, you know. So eager to trade off the 2-1. Yeah, because he just plays at main phase.
Maybe he was trying to bait out the Restoration Angel for value from Brian so that he'd be tapped out. Maybe he feels like his hand is otherwise so good that if Brian takes the bait, he'll be having the gates down.
All right, well, here's the gates are down.
Yep, I mean, I'm just trying to throw out a reason.
Yeah.
Another reason might be he played Magic for 13 hours yesterday and had to wake up a few hours later.
Yeah, he's not...
Let's see what it is.
I'm almost certain that Josh has a reason for what he did. I'm just curious to see, you know, what his line of play is. I mean, we don't have the information that Josh does right now. But I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, he says go.
Go.
Wow. Angel comes in by itself. I believe that Ratchet is on 4. Another Angel. Snappy Angel. So good. Oh my god.
Right, so we have
Divine Offering, Snapcaster Mage, Phantasmal Image.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no time for equipment these days.
We know where that image is going. The Ratchet Bomb is on 3 counters now.
Okay.
I believe. You remember what the card in Josh Cho's graveyard is? The bottom card? I feel like it's a Gitaxian Probe.
That's what I think it is, but
yeah.
I can't quite see it. It's covered up by those Delvers.
Doesn't help that it's foreign.
Go back to it. I think the casting cost might help. Mana Leak?
Oh, okay. And that makes sense, like, just ambush vipering. It's more sense because he doesn't have things to do. And that would probably mean Brian casts his Although if it was Mana Leak, Josh had mana to Mana Leak the Ponder.
He might not have wanted to at that point, just to have a Mana Leak later.
For the second Snapcaster Mage.
Here comes all the guys. Smack, take 6, go to 7.
Josh's Ratchet Bomb's going to be able to take care of the Angels.
That's a
but not that one.
Up to 4.
Phyrexian Metamorph.
A mass. What components do you have?
That's something of Snapcaster. Honestly, in a graveyard-based set, I would have loved to see Sift reprinted.
If you think about that, amass the components, it's a lot like a really big brainstorm. Draw 3, put 1 bottom back. Like it does the brainstorm plus the shuffle that you're looking for, so to speak. 4 mana is the price tag, but
yeah, you're willing to pay 3 extra mana for brainstorm so you can play it in standard. That's the question. Yeah, any card is fair at a certain cost.
Blue, blue, black, black, red, red, white, green, X. X players lose the game. You know.
Well, X is 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
XX maybe. Vapor Snag. Okay, it's still a 2 for 1. It's just not the way you'd like it.
It just still has to kill the Angel. He needs to image or metamorph. Metamorph. It'll take 2 life and a Mana Leak would be game, but nope. So, what do you think about
0-0 there?
Yeah. What do you think about not playing the Metamorph before blowing the Ratchet Bomb?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because one of the things about that is I wouldn't even be blowing the Ratchet Bomb until my opponent's turn. Just to steal 1 mana from them on their turn if they have the snag.
But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Also, you could get a Ratchet... Josh would have a Ratchet Bomb in play.
Yes.
Right now. So,
I think that was a really bad misstep by Josh.
Yeah. Especially in a game where Brian Eason's up a ton of cards.
Yeah.
Well, I find it strange that Brian did not play his Geist of Saint Traft. Ooh, Consecrated Sphinx.
I think you just rock it right under the table. Be like,
I would.
You've got no chance if this game draws out a couple of more turns, you know, like without you doing something. You need to hope that Brian Eason does not have a Snapcaster for the leak or a leak in hand, you know, and then just see what happens with that Sphinx.
I would say that Brian's probably out of Vapor Snags at least.
He's used 2 in the last turn.
Right. He's probably looking for ways to burn his Vapor Snags. That being said, Josh shuffles. Feels like he can win. He doesn't he doesn't need to jam a Sphinx to win this game.
I would be hard pressed to believe that.
I feel like he's going to need a Sphinx to win this game at some point. Just a matter of what he can afford to do in the meantime until he casts the Sphinx. I feel if Sphinx is in your deck, you put it in there to jam.
Yep.
Into these situations, you can't. You can't play around Mana Leak and Vapor Snag if you have Consecrated Sphinx in your deck, in my opinion.
And there's the Restoration Angel at the end of the turn.
Yeah, guess who's back?
Down to 4. Oh,
Well,
Restoration Angel.
Just kidding. And here's a play where Mana Leak is still...
And then a Geist.
Mana Leak was still good there, so even though Josh didn't want to play his Sphinx into it, he ended up playing his Restoration Angel into Mana Leak. Once again, Josh pressured to come up with an image or a Geist of Satan Trapped of his own. Let's go digging for one. Looks like we're flashing back Ponder. Unfortunately for Josh, Right of Replication not in Standard. Or in Josh's graveyard even.
Yep. Josh shuffles away.
Yep.
Looks, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle.
This is one of those situations where it seems like the Geist is somewhat under control. You know, the Angels can bounce off each other, Snapcaster can bounce the Geist. But the thing about these Delver decks is the game state rarely stays stable for any amount of time.
Now Josh is still holding on to a Divine Offering.
Right, still. Well, unless he put on bottom with a mass the component.
Oh, he had a mass. You're right. I forgot the mass might put it away.
However, if I were Josh, I would still keep.
I would keep it for like a rainy day.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless you had, however many other must keeps.
It looks like Eason has maybe 2 lands. I think I saw an island and another land, but I'm not sure.
So it's the danger of pondering 6 times, you might flood.
One of the things I found crazy very early on in the various Delver builds going on, that the Ponder Probe Snapcaster engine would have me mana-ing opponent decks, even control decks, even though I was running a lot less land than them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes just like all of that manipulation and all of that card draw, just in aggregate, can sometimes mean that you're keeping up with those decks that actually are running 25, 26, 27 land.
Here it
there
comes.
We are. Does it land? This is a key moment in the game. It landed.
Oh.
Does it stick around? Will a snag come back?
The further there it is.
There you go.
Why does he not have a Mana Leak in his graveyard? Or in his deck, maybe?
He might not.
I think that's a significant misstep from Brian. If knowing the list, I feel like Mana Leak has some utility in the mirror. It's not the greatest card in the mirror, but it's some utility, and you're gonna need it for Consecrated Sphinx purposes. But to go back to your point with these Delver decks often outlanding control decks, I wanted to build a Invisible Stalker Runechanter Spike deck. Pre-Adversary and Restored, and I still play it on Magic Online some. But to fuel the Runechanter Spike, I wanted all 12 cantrips. I wanted 4 Thought Scour, 4 Probe, 4 Ponder. And I was just, playing the deck, trying to play with some Lingering Souls, and I was just like, I just can't do this without playing, and I settled on 18 lands.
Yeah.
As the number.
I believe it. I totally believe it. I mean, you're thinking about the Xerox concept that Alan Comer brought out in, I want to say, about 1998.
Years ago, yeah.
And it's a good concept. We got a sword. Did Josh leave in the Divine Offering? Because he could have amassed it away.
Yeah.
Did he shuffle it away? He shuffled it away.
Man. So Brian Eason on to the finals.
Wow.